Alright, we'll take a look at number 55 here. We're just going to clean it up and see what we're left with. And it might be a little hard to see the division sign. I'll zoom in on this sum here. I hope that helps out. We'll get away with one more. Okay. So this is a division sign between 5/12 and 4/9. In order of operations, obviously you're concerned with what's inside parentheses first, so I'm just going to kind of mosey on off to the side and figure out what the result of that's going to be. So this is 5/12 divided by 4/9. That's 5/12, oops, times 9/4, right? You have to take the reciprocal and multiply. And let's reduce here a little. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So 5 times 3 is 15. 4 times 4 is 16. All right. So the result of doing the calculation that's inside parentheses is 15/16. So I simply write 15/16 directly underneath there. And notice I didn't do my calculation underneath here, or else I'd have a mess and it'd be hard to keep up with the rest of the problem. Alright, now I just bring down whatever I haven't touched. This multiplication and the 4/9. Okay, and we can do a little cleaning up here. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 16 4 times. And we could say that 3 goes into 9 3 times, 3 goes into 15 5 times. So when we multiply, again you go straight across. So 1 times 5 is 5, 3 times 4 is 12, so you end up with 5/12. Okay, let's see what's next here. Number 56, 11/20 of 120. To find 11/20 of 120, you multiply 11/20 times 120. Gee, I wish that was a fraction. Now it's a fraction. Okay, and you can reduce, so it's a good idea to. 20 goes into 20 once. 20 goes into 120 6 times. And again, when you multiply, you go straight across. 11 times 6 is 66. 1 times 1 is 1, but not much point in putting it over a 1. Let's see what else we have. Okay, we've got a warehouse going. 530 different inventory items. 2/5 it says are perishable, so they want to know how many are perishable. Alright, so notice before they were saying what fraction of items might be perishable, or what fraction of bicycles or mountain bikes or something like that. But here they want to know how many, that's an M by the way, how many items are perishable. Well, I happen to know that 2/5 of 530 are perishable. So to find this result, I'm going to multiply 2/5 times 530. Wish it was a fraction. Now it's a fraction. Okay? And we will certainly reduce where we can. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 530. 160 times? Is that going to work? No. I better check off this side. That doesn't sound right, does it? Oh, 106 times. That's what it is. Watch. 530 divided by 5. 5 goes into 5 once. Bring down your 3. Every time you bring down a number, you have to ask and answer. How many times does 5 go into 3? 0. And then I'll bring down the next digit. 5 goes into 30 6 times. All right. So this is supposed to be 106 up here. These are ones in the denominator. I don't have to pay attention to them much anymore. 2 times 106 is going to be 212. 212 items are perishable, so look out. And let's see what else they've given us. Okay, a little addition subtraction here. You have to have common denominators, and then you simply add the numerators. Okay, so let's zoom in a little, and perhaps even a little more. Number 60 might look strange. Basically, as long as you have common denominators, you're allowed to add or subtract the numerators. I mean, if they had cats under here, I'd be able to add the numerators. As long as they're the same, I can add. Alright, so the denominator is going to be 11x, and we simply add the 4 and the 6 to get a 10. Alright. Number 61. Well, let's see. I think we'll move on to 62. You have all common denominators, so your denominator is going to be 15. And to figure out the numerator, you can just look at these numerators separately. You have positive 8, positive 1, negative 6, and negative 2. So this would be 9. I'll proceed very carefully here. There's other ways to do it, but 9, 6. Why isn't that clicking? Oh, because it's a 3. Wow, for all that work, we end up with a 1. Yeah, 8 and 9. Okay. So 1/15 is what we end up with when we combine all those fractions. Let's see, 63. Yeah, 63 is worth taking a look at. This brings into play the concept of like terms. Okay, we have common denominators, so we know the denominator is going to be 5. But these numerators are not like terms. So all I can do is write 20y plus 4 in the numerator, and I've got 5 in the denominator. There's nothing else I can do there. If this was a 4y, then I'd be able to add them because they would be like terms. But this does not have a variable, so I cannot add to the 20y. Alright, so that's 63. Let's see. Okay, when we get to 64 and on, we have run out of common denominators. So it's a bit of work, but you have to get common denominators in order to add or subtract. So maybe we'll take number 65 here. Okay. Basically, you just think of a number that 15 will go into, that 5 will also go into. 15 happens to be the winner in this case. Bring down your negative sign and your negative sign. And this this denominator is already a 15, so I just keep the 8. All right, I didn't have to change anything to get the denominator to 15. But over here, to get from 5 to 15, I had to multiply by 3. So I have to do the same thing to the numerator. 4 times 3 is 12. And that should make sense. What's 3 over 3? It's a big old funny looking 1. If you multiply by 1, you don't change the value, you just change the way it looks. Okay, well now we have common denominators of 15. Signs are the same. We're going to add and keep the sign. And that gives us 20. Oh man, but now we got more work to do because we can reduce here. So this is equal to a negative. I can divide by 5 and get a 3, divide by 5 and get a 4. Negative 4/3. Okay? Perfectly happy with the answer as an improper fraction. You do not have to make that a mixed number. Number 66. You might be able to just do it in your head, but I'll show you another way. We could do it by borrowing, but probably in this case, I'll just turn that into a 1 or 2 over a 1. But if you can do it in your head, if you had 2 and you took away 6/11ths, you would have 1 and 5/11ths. But remember, the 2 was larger, so we're going to end up with a negative 1 and 5/11ths. All right. But if you can't crank that out in your head, just turn this 2 into a fraction. All right, now it's a fraction. I just put it over a 1. All right, so I have 6/11ths and negative 2 over 1. I need common denominator. And I suspect 11 is going to be our common denominator. All right, this is already an 11, so I don't have to do anything to change it. I keep the numerator. But to get from 1 to 11, to get from 1 to 11, I had to multiply by 11. That means I have to do the exact same thing to the numerator. So that would give me 22. And again, what's 11 over 11? Just a funny looking 1. Okay. Here the signs are different, so we subtract, keep the sign of the larger. And 22, if you subtract 6, 16. I'm going to run out of paper here. I think I'll go over this way. So we would have 16/11ths. That's negative 16/11ths. And notice if we turn this into a mixed number, we would get negative 1 and 5/11ths. Okay, so you might be able to just get there thinking about it, but if not, put it over a 1 and get your common denominators. I will accept the answer in either form. Let's see what else. And 67 is well worth taking a look at, and it harks back to number 63. For 63, we already had common denominators, but we really weren't able to do anything with the numerators. 67, we're going to have to get common denominators, but we still won't really be able to do anything with the numerators. Okay? So let's say 35 will go into 35, 7 will go into 35, so our common denominators are 35. Alright, this, nothing changed. I already had a 35, so I just keep my numerator, 7y. Here, but to get from 7 to 35, we had to multiply by 5, so we have to do the same to the numerator. Look at that funny looking 1. Okay, so there's our 20. And now we can add, sort of, because we have common denominators. Am I going to run out of room? No. So 35 is our denominator. Going to have to make that longer. And our numerator is 7y plus 20. I cannot combine them because they're not like terms. And I can't cancel because terms up top are being added or subtracted. Remember, these two fractions can be written like this, but there's actually a 35 in the denominator under the 7y and under the 20. I could simplify this and it would take me right back up to 4/7, but then I wouldn't have done anything. So this is how you answer. Number 67. And let's see. I think we'll stop it there. Nah, we'll do 68. Alright. We'll do 68, just in case it looks strange. But it's the same procedure that we've been following. You look at all three terms, and you have to think of a number that will go into each one. And there's not much point in looking at multiples of 5 or multiples of 7. The hardest one to work with is always going to be the largest number. Okay? 5 plus 5 would be 10. 7 certainly is not going to fit into there. Okay, so you start looking at multiples of 10. And given these numbers, I don't know, I'd be here all day if I don't cut to the chase. So 70, 10 will go into 70, 7 will go into 70, and I know that 5 will go into 70. So our common denominator is going to be 70. And then you just have to keep track of how do you get there. Well, to get from 5 to 70, we multiply by 14. So we have to do the same to the numerator. Okay, 4 times 14 would be 56. And this x just comes along for the ride. Alright, so that's all over this numerator. Might not look like it. Or over the numerator. That is the numerator. Then for our next subject, to get from 7 to 70, you multiply by 10. So you have to do the same to the numerator. 6 times 10 is 60. The x just comes along for the ride. To get from 10 to 70, you multiply by 7. So you have to do the same to the numerator. So that gives you 49. Alright. I think I'll back out a little more here. Alright. So our common denominator is here. Let's see if I can write this. I'm nervous, I'm going to come off the screen here. Alright. So, and in the numerator, I'm going to need a long numerator. I can combine these two, they're like terms, but this 49, I'm not going to be able to combine it. Okay, so that would be 116x minus 49. Okay.